Once GenAI infuses what marketing does, you will see the CMO transition to a business leader
Yeah.
who has actually become crucial to the act of the business being delivered. Your brand becomes the experience your business delivers, which customers and consumers choose to talk about to others. You are going to have to marry structured business data
Yeah.
with unstructured social media and such like data to be able to derive insight. You're not one of those who say 50% is wasted, but I don't know which 50.
Hello everyone, we are back with the second edition of Conversion Conundrums brought to you by Economic Times Brand Equity. In this show, we unplug B2B marketing. And to do so, in our inaugural episode, we have with us Mr. Krishnan Chatterjee. He is the head of marketing at Google Cloud India. Is B2B marketing only about driving business, or is there an element of brand building as well? Let's know it from him. Welcome to the show, Krishnan. Krishnan, from ITC to Google Cloud, what motivates you to stay as a marketer, and where do you draw inspiration from?
I think as a marketer or in this profession, I've always been inspired by creation more than consumption. It's a bit of a, I would say, paradox.
Yeah, explain this a little bit.
Yeah, since marketers are supposed to make you consume more.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you break down a typical organization, right, there are roles. There are three levels of roles you play in any organization. There are operational roles. So you are a warehouse packer, and every day you pack X number of boxes. There are tactical roles. You are in a consulting company in pre-sales. A bid comes in, you roll out of bed and respond. And there are strategic roles, people who shape the future for their organization. If you ask me, marketing in any organization is probably the one guaranteed role to be strategic. And that is what always keeps me going, because as a marketer, wherever you are looking a year ahead, 2 years ahead.
Correct.
And that is very exciting.
Fantastic. This lends me to my next question actually. Whenever we discuss B2B marketing, we happen to land the conversation into how are you driving business, what is it that you are doing with the demand, what about the numbers. But you also do play a significant role in building the brand. For example, Google Cloud is a rising star within Alphabet. Talk to us about the importance of brand building within B2B.
So, it's a very interesting question. You really have to take a step back and say, what is a brand?
Correct.
And I think a brand serves two purposes. A brand firstly creates a significant degree of trust. That was the original reason you started branding things.
Yeah.
So the unbranded stuff was not trustworthy, the branded stuff is trustworthy.
Correct.
So that obviously is a very base level, let's say, core benefit of a brand. But on top of that, the brand also becomes a promise of value.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the minute you treat a brand as a promise of value, this raises several very interesting questions. Because as you know, value lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Correct.
So if you do not define the beholder first, which is your consumer or customer as the case may be, and then distill what stands for value to that person, you are not going to be able to succeed in actually creating premium, acquiring market share, or all the other business goals you have.
Correct.
And that really is the role of a brand, which exists whether you are B2C or B2B.
Yeah.
A brand must represent a certain value, which is uniquely preferred by a certain segment of people. And as a consequence, the business flourishes.
Fantastic. It is said that enterprises that you cater to or you target your solutions with seldom look for a product. They are often researching for problems they are faced with. As the head of marketing of Google Cloud India, how do you ensure that whenever they're discussing these problems, be it within their boardrooms or even on internet, Google Cloud surfaces as one of the top options?
So that I would say is a work in progress, but let's take a look at Google Cloud, right?
Yeah.
I've joined about 3 months back. And I found Google Cloud extremely exciting.
Okay.
And just think about this. If I go back a decade in my life, Google Cloud pretty much did not exist.
Yeah.
This last quarter, it did about $10.3 billion for the quarter.
Yes.
So in this decade that has gone by in my life, something has spun out of nothing almost
Yeah.
into a 40 billion plus enterprise. That represents a very significant chunk of value.
Correct.
And obviously the value it represents is what got me excited, which is why I joined, and I was so thrilled to have an opportunity to work with the organization. The value it represents is, Anirban, today we've all seen the Gen AI revolution taking shape in front of us.
Correct.
And I think what's going to happen, so today the Gen AI conversation has somewhere gotten into the infrastructure level, right? So everybody's talking NVIDIA, or what's AMD doing, and so on and so forth. When the conversation raises up into the business layer, who do you think is going to dominate the conversation? And let's think about that for a moment. So let's go back in time to other occasions when life changed dramatically because of technology. So late 90s, you had the dot-com boom, stroke, bust. When the dot-com bubble started, none of us could have even imagined business models like Uber or Airbnb.
Yeah.
If you were around at that time and you went back, largely all of us were thinking, I was at that time head of marketing for lifestyle retailing business at ITC.
Correct.
Launching fashion brands like Will Sport, Will's Lifestyle. So our best possible thinking was, okay, we've got a retail store. Now let's put all these products into a catalog and slap it up on the internet. So that people can look at our catalog.
Only look.
And maybe, hopefully transact, and some point we'll. But the fact that the entire business model could be executed to value of the internet, what an Airbnb showed us, what an Uber showed us, did not exist. That same cusp is upon us now. With Gen AI, we will experience business models sitting here today, you and I cannot even conceptualize. But to get to the business models, the way software and the way processes run and the way applications get built, all of this is going to change. The Google Cloud story is not a story of LLMs. So Google may have Gemini, as OpenAI has its, and Anthropic has its, and Meta has. The Google Cloud vision is in something called Vertex, which is an open platform on which you can architect across your infrastructure, data, applications layer, all the way to what is called agents and agentic workflows. So that you can actually build applications that deliver using Gen AI in a manner hitherto never seen. That is where Google Cloud will enter the boardroom conversation, because when with other technology brands you will ask about, say, automation and efficiency, with Google Cloud you will start asking the question, how is my business model itself going to fundamentally alter?
Brilliant. Great explanation, Krishnan. Thank you for that. I want to understand from you, you mentioned about generative AI, and it's you mentioned AI rather, and Gen AI has become this elephant in the room. As the marketing head or a marketer, what role is Gen AI playing today in your marketing function? And going forward, what is the problem that you think will be solved by Gen AI in a larger detail?
So let me start the second one first, because it's the bigger picture, and then we'll come down to more narrow, sort of a keyhole view. Today, so let's start with the CMO and the MarTech stack. Today, if you've seen any MarTech stack, you will find typically it's architected across, let's say, some form of the customer life cycle. And then some horizontal deep dive into layers. With a bunch of products, let's say automating your telecalling or events or such like, right? So there are separate products automating specific transactions you do in marketing. That means that as a marketer, you remain still at the level of those transactions.
Okay.
So you're talking CPC, CTR, this, that, the other. Language that is not too pertinent to the business.
Correct.
So I think once Gen AI infuses what marketing does, you will see the CMO transition to a business leader
Yeah.
who has actually become crucial to the act of the business being delivered.
Okay.
And why do I say that? Going back to your question of brands.
Yeah.
Today, as you go more and more digital, right? Your brand is not what you promise in your ads. Your brand becomes the experience your business delivers, which customers and consumers choose to talk about to others.
Okay.
And what they say to others. So if the CMO is going to become a business leader,
Yeah.
owning the customer experience, the customer journey, you have to now look at the three primary functions that CMOs do. And I'm going to touch upon some very fundamental transition. Yeah. CMOs broadly handle three things. There is an analytics piece, there is a content piece, and there is a campaign piece.
Correct.
Ultimately, everything you do can be distilled into these three pillars.
Yeah.
Now, today in the analytics piece, think about a couple of things that will happen as we go forward. The first is, you are going to have to marry structured business data with unstructured social media and such like data to be able to derive insights.
Correct.
To drive business growth.
Okay.
So let me take I talked about a time when I used to head marketing for a fashion brand or a retail brand.
Correct.
In a country like India, where what you wear in Chennai and what you wear in Gujarat are two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult for you to understand how to design.
Yeah.
So the only way you can do that, because there is an aspect of future forecasting as well, is look at trends on social media, marry it with your SKUs in inventory, POS, supply chain, how things are moving, and then derive an educated guess in terms of what your design philosophy should be for Western India, where you have spent so much time.
Correct.
So that's one part of the analytics piece. Another very important, especially for consumer brands, who is your ideal customer profile? So if you want to be a business leader of a CMO, which means you drive capital efficient growth.
Correct.
You are not one of those who say 50% is wasted, but I don't know which 50.
Yeah.
Nothing can be wasted.
Correct.
You have to know who is your ideal customer profile. Only analytics will tell you that. So that any funnel, any tofu, mofu, bofu that you build is built on ideal customer profile who will give you strong lifetime value. Now let's look at the content transformation. Content, as personalization takes over.
Yeah.
I can't produce one campaign. I will produce 1 million pieces of content for 1 million different people. It's humanly impossible.
Correct.
Right? So today, just to give you an example, Mondelez does content with us, and it produces 20 million pieces of content across 150 countries and as many languages.
Yeah.
All through AI.
Wow.
Third, let's look at your campaign mechanism. In your campaign, simple things, you can't do A/B testing anymore because if personalization takes over with content, you may be delivering 1 million campaigns.
Correct.
So without AI, how will you even test campaigns? How will you figure out what works? Because the flip side of 1 million campaigns is if you don't figure out what works and you start scaling, you will end up, 100% may be wasted.
Yeah.
So if you put all of these pieces together, AI can flip the CMO into a capital efficient, growth driven business leader who is actually the architect of the AI transformation across the front office.
It is said that the sales cycle in B2B is often longer. You need to cater to multiple touch points in the hierarchy of an organization. What are your ways, what are the strategies for nurturing that you follow and that has worked for you?
So, so in B2B, I think you have to make one big distinction. And actually, it also somewhere holds true for B2C, but it gets disguised. You have to remember the concept of land and expand.
Okay.
And these are two very different motions. So actually think about B2B. The B2B, seller journey is actually not a funnel.
Okay.
It's a bow tie.
Okay.
So I do a lot of things and I land my customer.
Yeah.
then it is worthwhile to me if I'm able to grow more and more use cases with the customer.
Okay.
And right, so I land with you and then I expand.
Okay.
And you have to look through the entire funnel to get to a lifetime value, because many B2B pursuits are extremely expensive.
Correct.
Just because you land a single deal typically will not give you ROI.
Okay.
So in that context, when you look at marketing tactics or what I've always believed in is, when you think about land, you have to be very, very specifically focused on the value that I talked about, that your brand drives.
Correct.
So once you understand what your brand promises, you use that brand promise. So let's say Google's great value lies in making information easily accessible to people.
Correct.
Therefore, a very strong land zone for Google Cloud is in the data and analytics layer, how to organize data, information, use it better, which has been doing very well. Till that time, therefore, you drive campaigns for acquisition, which are very proposition focused.
Correct.
The minute you hit that and you get into your expand journey, your campaigns have to become champion focused.
Okay.
So I have a buyer, I have somebody who's my champion. Am I making that person happy?
Okay.
Am I then able to expand, the tribe of those champions, get more and more champions who are discussing their problems with me, so that I become strategically more meaningful in that account?
Sometimes you are targeting CMOs with your solutions or whatever messaging you are trying to communicate. Sometimes you are trying to target the CIOs. You always want to influence the CEOs or the board, because at the end of the day, they are signing the checks. So is it one-to-one communication from day one, or would you rather have a bird's eye view and then go into the one-to-one communications? How do you devise the communication strategy as the marketing head?
So you can go back to the previous answer. Depends on your land strategy.
Okay.
Your land strategy will have a clearly articulated ICP. Go after that ICP. In this case, if it's the CIO, CTO, CMO, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whoever that proposition that you have decided your land strategy on, you got to go after that. It's in your expand strategy that you now start touching upon all these other personas in a meaningful fashion.
Okay.
I do again think that GenAI is a fantastic transition for that, because GenAI is not, the problem statement in GenAI is not a technology problem.
Okay.
It starts with a business problem.
Okay. Brilliant. What is the biggest challenge for a B2B CMO today, and what are the essential traits needed to sail through that particular challenge?
So let me go back to the fact that as a B2B CMO, your promise of value is, so think about it this way, right? When you think about value in dimensions, there are really 3 dimensions of value.
Okay.
Which is, broadly speaking, price, product, and relationship.
Okay.
Now, whenever you are looking at whatever, and for your customer, value manifests in all 3, right? I may buy you because you are more cost effective as a solution, or I may buy you because your solution is the superior solution, or I may buy you because I can work more easily with you. In any of these, the business model has to deliver that value.
Okay.
Now the issue is, if the CMO is touting a certain value statement,
okay,
right, for the organization, let's say, as I just told you, right, my GenAI solution build for the business is superior to anybody else because I have Vertex as a platform.
Correct.
Now the point is, I need the business to follow through to say, how do I go business, let's say persona by persona, distill their problem statements, convert it to something that can be managed on the Vertex platform, and so on and so forth. And then how do we productionize that solution, and how do we scale that solution, and how do we ensure the cost of that solution is controlled in. So a lot of the value statements you're making have to be delivered ultimately by the business. And I'm going to make this a positive challenge.
Okay.
The challenge is, does the CMO have sufficient influence on the business to be able to drive the business delivering the value that the CMO is promising through the brand?
Brilliant. We are at the last segment of our discussion. We have a couple of more questions to go. Would like to understand your bird's eye view on what is happening in the country at this moment when it comes to adoption or implementation of technology into businesses. Do you see brands or category of brands rather who are more receptive to it, while there are some still resisting the implementation of technology?
So if I break down India as an economy, right, I think the top 100, 110 unicorns that we have,
Yeah,
their valuation is in the $350 billion mark.
correct.
So let's call that the digital native gang.
Okay.
And as we are aware today, what is the Indian stock exchange valuation? Almost $5 trillion.
Yeah.
So that itself tells you that the digital native, the born digital kind of companies today are, let's say, somewhere in the 5-6% range
Yeah.
of the total value clout that this economy holds. Okay, so start from there. Obviously, that 5% is extremely amenable to technology. They have been born out of technology. They use technology to solve some very complex problems.
Yeah.
And you'll find that Google Cloud has a natural affinity with those players. We do very good business with that segment. Now come to the more traditional segment, which is over 90%
Yeah.
of the market, as you said. That's where, I find within the CMO world, adoption of technology is still somewhat cosmetic, I would say.
Okay.
And I think there are a couple of reasons for that. The first is, I've talked to you about some use cases. Gen AI can fundamentally change the marketer's world. Fundamentally. I used the word non-linear, right?
Correct.
So you do one today and you get one. You can do one today and get 100.
Correct.
That's the scale of the impact.
Yeah.
But the first problem in India you have to realize is all talent in AI and Gen AI is immediately sucked into our wonderful ITES ecosystem and then build and providing services to clients in North America and Europe and such like. So that makes tremendous paucity of talent in this country. So today, even as a CMO, if you have this vision that, let's say, so let me give you a very interesting example.
Please.
We did, in North America, we worked with Pfizer.
Yeah.
Pfizer figured out that changes in barometric pressure cause migraines.
Okay.
Google Cloud built weather into their campaign engine. And today in North America, any city which has that barometric pressure shift auto delivers migraine medication campaigns. There's no human being involved in this whole cycle, right? Now, let's say you have that vision as a CMO in India.
Correct.
You'll not find anybody who can do what I just described. The execution prowess capacity doesn't exist. They have all gone to work for Infosys or HCL or Accenture or what have you. So that is one problem. Second problem is, I think, as marketers, we have traditionally become very used to the belief that if I say something, that is my brand.
Okay.
And you have to, and this goes back to, say, Seth Godin's Purple Cow, which I think is over 2 decades old.
Yeah.
Which I think completely turned this belief on its head, because you know the purple cow theory, right?
Yes.
It's not about how beautiful the cow is. It can be the ugliest cow in the world, but purple, and you will take a photo and tweet it and share it on Facebook. So it is about what my customers are saying about me that creates my brand.
Yeah.
The minute you understand that, you willy-nilly have no choice but to adopt technology, because you cannot address your customers as individuals through any kind of manual work or through one-to multi-many kind of an approach. I think that belief is beginning to change as we are used to more digital, and that will, but even when that belief changes and adoption propensity increases, the talent shortage will still be a big problem.
Okay, so it's a multi-layered problem and not essentially a single one. There are many young marketers, watching this episode currently. I would like you to leave them with some, words of wisdom.
I'll go back to the problem statement that we articulated,
Yeah.
which is you cannot succeed as a marketer till you are able to influence the business, which means your biggest challenge is going to be leadership. How do you become a leader? In fact, think about a very simple question.
Yeah.
If you link back to several things I've said, as a marketer, you are projecting forward and predicting something that will happen a year or 2 years later.
Correct.
Basis which you want people in the business to change what they are doing today.
Yes.
That takes enormous influence and trust. So if that influence and trust only belongs to leaders, right? When Mahatma Gandhi said India will be free, people, and that future vision was actualized in actions today. Great Martin Luther King, great leaders have that ability. So I would say that as a young marketer, as much as you focus on your competencies, focus on building the leadership ability to create absolutely new thinking for the future.
Yeah.
And carry people not from your own function, from across the business, along in supporting new ideas that you come up with.
Wow, that's a great tip. Lastly, I know you are a passionate musician as well. If you were to define the role of a marketer today with a song, which song will it be?
I'd say Tracy Chapman's Revolution.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Krishnan. It was fantastic chatting with you. That was Krishnan Chatterjee, Head of Marketing, Google Cloud India, giving us a masterclass on B2B marketing. Stay tuned for more.